industries such as retail and manufacturing, a big part of that infrastructure sits at the edge, beyond traditional office sites, in distributed and remote locations. So in this keynote session, we'll take a trip out to the edge of the enterprise and explore some strategies for end-to-edge orchestration and optimization. Buckle up and let's head on over.
VMware Explorer presentations contain forward-looking statements, including statements regarding the expected benefits of VMware's strategy, growth opportunities, and offerings, as well as the announced proposed acquisition of VMware by Broadcom that are subject to risks and uncertainties. Actual results and outcomes may differ materially as a result of various risk factors, including those described in the Forms 10-K, 10-Q, and 8-K that VMware files with the SEC. These forward-looking statements are made as of the initial date of this presentation, and VMware assumes no obligation to, and does not currently intend to, update them.
Where is the edge? Well, how about everywhere? The edge is at the intersection of technology and business.
I'm Officer Williams, and this is my edge.
Across all industries, organizations are using edge devices and applications to do things like improve safety, increase productivity, reduce costs, or provide better customer experiences.
I'm Krishna, and this is my edge.
Retailers are using the edge to make shopping and checkout faster, improve customer loyalty, empower employees, and track inventory in real time. Every day, enterprises are implementing new edge technologies to make their business run better. But the edge is more than just a set of locations, devices, and applications. It requires agility, automation, and intelligence.
Hi, I'm David, and this is my edge.
Hospitals are using AI-powered medical imaging and labs to assist doctors with diagnostics and patient care. But the sprawl of edge adoption brings with it a new set of administrative, security, and operational challenges which call for a proven, scalable infrastructure.
Hi, I'm Gordon, and this is my edge.
For a greener future, energy producers use sensors to monitor and predict maintenance needs across wind and solar farms. Factories are reducing energy usage by virtualizing control systems and applications to streamline production. Around the world, VMware's software-defined edge solutions are helping companies in every industry achieve the flexibility and scale necessary to enable their business to innovate and thrive today and tomorrow. So, what's your edge strategy?
I'm Michael Sherwood.
and this is my edge.
And all the world's an edge. Hello, everyone. My name is Sanjay Uppal, and I run the service provider and edge business at VMware. So we're at a very seminal moment in our industry when everything, everywhere, all at once has something important to say. And that important thing comes from people, from sensors, from things that are sensing the environment and sending a lot of data. And that data has to be understood and acted upon. And all of this is the purview of what I'm going to talk about with the software-defined edge. So if you look at some of the numbers that we've seen, and of course this would be quite familiar to you, over a 4-year period, there's been a 77% growth in IoT devices. And very interestingly, machine learning, which used to be about 5% penetration in 2022 at the edge, is going to grow by a factor of 10-fold to 50% by 2026. It's little devices like this that I have in my pocket. Here's a small device. This device, when put on the side of a machine, can sense the noise, the temperature, and through vibrations, can predict when that machine is going to fail. This device can run a machine learning model in less than 256 kilobytes of RAM when it is programmed through TensorFlow Lite for microcontrollers. So this is just simply one example of all the kinds of things that we'll see, everything, everywhere, all at once, with something important to say. Now, when we asked folks like yourselves, IT managers, about what the importance of edge compute is, 44% of you said that it's one of your top 5 priorities. So what is it that is needed to make sense of all this information that is coming out from the edge and that needs to be acted upon at the edge? What is really critical here is that we need a horizontal software infrastructure. This software infrastructure is to support the applications, which of course we know as workloads, to support these applications close to where these devices are producing and consuming data. Now, it so happens that because of the dispersed nature of what's happening at the edge, is that these locations where the devices are producing or consuming data are in tens, hundreds, thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of locations. And the reason why this infrastructure needs to be co-located is because sometimes you cannot tolerate the latency of having this information go all the way back to the cloud and then to come and be acted upon at the edge. And you're going to see several examples of this, everything from life-changing examples to just examples that you and I would use as consumers. So low latency is a primary reason. The other reason is autonomy. You want your information to be stored close to you. You don't want it leaking across boundaries. Raghu talked about private AI. So all this information that comes about at the edge needs to have that sovereign boundary. And then lastly, the network itself. Sometimes you cannot have an intelligent conversation about the edge without talking about the network underneath. And the network changes depending on whether you're a mobile edge or not, you're an enterprise edge, you're in the RAN. All of this is the diversity and multiplicity of the network underneath. So to get that software-defined architecture, that horizontal digital infrastructure that supports the variety of applications or workloads, what we're talking about is the software-defined edge. Now, you folks, of course, would be familiar with software-defined data center, right? And you know and love VMware software-defined data center. Well, we are talking about the software-defined edge. There are 3 attributes of the software-defined edge that are different from what happens in the data center. The first one is right-sizing the infrastructure. What we mean by that is when you look about at the edge, whether it's on a manufacturing floor or you're talking about retail or you're talking about in a car, you really have to slim it down on occasion. You've got to make it run on really light infrastructure, small footprint, even 1 order of magnitude less than what you're used to seeing at the data center. So as an example, for some of the edges that we've deployed in branch offices, these run on 2-core Atom-type class of devices with less than a gigabyte of RAM. So we're talking about things that can go all the way down. That's very important, right-sizing the infrastructure. The second piece that is critical is once you get this software infrastructure, the software-defined edge deployed, you've got to deploy it across so many locations that you can't afford to have anything manual intervene. when you've got to install, configure, operate, and maintain it. This whole cycle that many of you know as the life cycle management is critically important. And so we've come up with the pull-based or zero-touch orchestration mechanism to keep that infrastructure installed, configured, upgraded, and maintained. And so zero-touch orchestration is critically important, and many of you folks would recognize that because automation is really the lifeblood of getting these edges deployed. And the last piece is programmability. And by that, what we mean is, as you have these workloads that are running around, whether it's on a manufacturing floor or retail, or it's in a cell site as an example, again, something we're going to hear about later in this discussion, then those workloads need to make their intent known to the network itself. Why? Because you can't have a static network. You need to have a network on demand because you have to differentiate the important conversation that is happening from the unimportant one. So if you're talking about saving lives, you're talking about ventilator traffic that is coming from a hospital, that needs to be distinguished from the sprinkler traffic to water the lawn in the hospital. When you look at these kinds of activities, then the programmability of the network is critically important. So in the context of the workload, an intelligent overlay understands the application, then programs the underlay underneath. And you're going to see a video about this, really exciting video about how we're going about getting this done in police cars. So those three aspects are very important. Now let's dive through one particular example, which is in manufacturing. If you were to go to a manufacturing floor, you're going to see a number of devices. On the manufacturing floor, these devices, whether it's a robot or it's an ARM or it's a PLC, the hardware and software for these devices are locked together. This locking together, we are disaggregating. And the reason for getting this done is because of the multiplicity of devices out there. If they're proprietary and locked together, to get new features out, to get upgrades to the software, sometimes requires people to walk around with USB sticks. This, of course, doesn't work when you have these thousands of locations done. So on the manufacturing floor, if you come up with a disaggregated infrastructure and then run this on a horizontal software-defined edge, which in VMware's terminology we call the edge compute stack, then you can get workload consolidation, you can get the upgradability to be done in an automated fashion, you can get much faster feature velocity, and at the same time you're reducing your costs. So whether it is manufacturing, or it is retail, or it is other industries, you're going to hear about telco industry, you're going to hear about cell sites, you're going to see the mobile car for the police force that are driving around addressing the same problem. This problem can be addressed by an edge compute stack. In fact, if you were to go to the show floor, you're going to see a small manufacturing floor that we have designed on the show floor itself to show some of these moving parts. You're going to see a retail store that is running a private mobile network. We're announcing initial availability of a private mobile network solution from VMware at this event. So let's dive a little bit under the covers and see what is it that makes this tick. So at this event, we're announcing the VMware Edge Cloud Orchestrator. This Edge Cloud Orchestrator has the mechanism I was talking about for zero-touch orchestration. So you get devices, everything from the lowest layer of the stack, which is the edge compute runtime, to the network and security services on top, to the workloads. And the workload can be either a virtual machine or a container-based workloads. All the orchestration for this is done by the VMware Edge Cloud Orchestrator. And it was built out of a project that we had in our CTO office called Keswick. We combined that with what we've done with SASE. We combined that with what we've done with automation in the cell sites, brought it together for a product for you. And VMware Edge Cloud Orchestrator is an integral part of the edge compute stack that we are providing. Now, if you take a look at how this works, so imagine that in the lower left-hand corner, you see all these edges. These edges are deployed in all your dispersed locations. Whether they're hypervisor-based or not, you get a number of edges that are deployed. As these edges get deployed, they wake up and they asynchronously ask for their profile. Why asynchronous? Because if you were to do it synchronously, you would get into this painting of the bridge problem that we heard about earlier today. By the time you finish painting the bridge, you've got to start all over again. So they wake up, they get their profile, and through using GitOps mechanism, you can get to the desired state that these edges want, which is the delta between where they are right now and their desired state. And all of this is kept updated and upgraded in an automated fashion through the VMware Edge Cloud Orchestrator. So that's a little bit under the covers. You start off this edge by a single-click activation, either from a mobile device or a coded URL, and then you're off and running. So whether it's tens of thousands on the manufacturing floor, or it's nurses' carts, or it's cell sites, all of this in the same mechanism that you would use with pull-based orchestration. So let me just close this part of it out by talking about VMware's software-defined edge portfolio. What I've really spoken about is what is the stack that supports the end user's applications. This is the edge compute stack. It comes with a VMware Edge Cloud Orchestrator, which we're announcing at this show. The layer underneath is the intelligent overlay. That intelligent overlay has things like an SD-WAN, SSE, as well as our client that we've announced, which is the Soda client, because Soda goes with POP and you have Soda POP, right? So this is the intelligent overlay that comes underneath. And then the network itself. You can actually program the network if you deploy VMware technology, and that programming of the network is done in the context of the workload or the application. I'm going to end this part of it by talking about some of the numbers. So this is not, we're not completely new to this game. We already have 7 million workloads that are deployed on VMware at the edge, more than 500,000 devices that are supporting network and security services out there, and 17,000 cell sites that you're going to hear about very soon, ORAN deployed cell sites using the same pull-based technology to get everything automated. And then finally, almost 10 million devices that are measured and the service assurance that is maintained by VMware technology. So with this, let's move on to see an example of how a police car makes use of this kind of dynamic technology at the edge. Hey, Corlin, thanks for picking me up.
Hey, Sanjay.
And I got some coffee for you, too.
Oh, thank you.
Cheers.
To be honest, I did want to show off some of the technology in this truck that VMware helped create.
Yes, police vehicles are now at the intersection of edge computing, video inferencing, and better network connectivity.
Absolutely. Because with all the cameras, either vehicle-based cameras or body cameras or even ALPR cameras like from Unoptic, there's just too much data in these vehicles. So oftentimes they'd have to wait until they got back to the station in order to upload that data. But what that meant was it took the police officers away from helping out their communities.
And of course, that's not good for anyone. So what we've done is used virtualization, and that virtualization helps. The video stream can come in and it can recognize number plates in real time. So there's an automatic number plate reading application. That is all tied together with digital forensics. And we put all of this in the edge compute stack, which is a VMware product that runs along with SD-WAN for network resiliency. And we packaged it all down into a really small footprint that you can fit in the back of this vehicle. And it's taken the footprint, which used to be 100 kilos, 200 pounds in American, and has shrunk all of that down for this purpose. And all of this works, as I mentioned, with one software stack.
Wow. So it's not only smaller, but I'm sure it has other benefits as well.
Absolutely. It's actually a miniaturized branch office on wheels. And what it's done is you can get a number of applications to run on the edge compute stack in the vehicle. You can do things like video inferencing, and then you get much better network connectivity, up to 10 times as much, using the Unoptic camera along with the applications. So anything that we have done here for the police force, it can be generalized into manufacturing and automobiles across a wide variety of verticals. Then you can think of virtualizing the factory floor with the factory of the future, getting into hospitals, into retail, into oil and gas, energy, utilities. The sky is the limit with this kind of mobile intelligent edge technology.
And you can see all of that work in this police truck.
That's right.
Stay safe out there, folks.
Powerful stuff. What the police force is doing at the edge is an example of the opportunities created by the enterprises that go beyond the traditional bounds of their operations. But these drives and opportunities are not just limited to the police force. In fact, every industry around the world is going through a transformation to remain agile in a very complex and dynamic marketplace. Now, enterprise needs are also evolving, right? And this evolution is going to need to look beyond compute and storage. It needs to also be about connectivity. What Sanjay covered earlier was about the right size infrastructure and the right size orchestration. Now we're going to dive into another pillar, which is actually connectivity and how enterprises can consume that. For the first time, communication service providers, CSPs, are going through their most significant transformation to actually serve the enterprise differently. This is beyond just higher speeds or more coverage or more reliability. What is their end goal? It's actually to provide a secure, reliable, consistent, and programmable connectivity solution that can be consumed by the enterprises easier. Now, to create these robust and agile connections, their transformations are significant. Among them are they're disaggregating to drive agility. They're virtualizing to actually meet the on-demand capabilities. They're actually automating to take full advantage of the power of AI. All of this transformation and re-architecting is actually steered by the enterprise. And CSPs know really well that in order to enable the enterprise in this digital era, they'll need to enable tools that allow for quicker innovation, that allow for reduced service interruptions, that allow for more security. And the enterprise needs to do this with less resources and also reducing carbon footprint. So VMware is actually looking at an intelligent overlay to enable this. So just like SD-WAN brought programmability to the edge, we're bringing programmability to the connectivity edge. Looking to the future of demanding AI, augmented reality, enterprises need to look beyond the compute and storage and demand dynamic connectivity. One-size-fits-all connections are not going to work anymore. In fact, the new use cases and the services that they'll need to provide will actually require more command and control of this connectivity. So let's look at a use case that demonstrates how we can do an intelligent overlay to an underlying 5G network. So providing connectivity, especially live stream data, video data, can get quite expensive. An intelligent overlay can help with triggering this at the right time. Let's go back to the police car example that you saw from what Sanjay discussed. Police cars are constantly recording data locally, but they're only sending still shots every 3 to 4 seconds back to the command center. Obviously, providing more visibility back to the command center is going to enable more solutions in the field for them. So instead of providing a constant high bandwidth, low latency, ultra reliable pipe, which is quite expensive, what if this could be triggered by a need? For example, what if live stream data could be triggered when the police car lights or siren goes off? An intelligent overlay that talks to the application layer can completely accommodate this and trigger this data when it's needed. with the ability to control the connection from the enterprise perspective, you'll have the breadth of a 5G network at your fingertips. There you go. I think we've got excitement around that. But this is just one use case. Across healthcare, automation, retail, manufacturing, the number of use cases that have evolved and grown that require this kind of command and control are increasing by the day. The good news, these networks that we're talking about are being built. In fact, one of the leading CSPs in the US, Dish Network, has built a network that actually enables edge connectivity. So I am very excited to welcome to the stage the President of Technology and the Chief Operating Officer of Dish Network.
Hey, Miriam.
John, welcome.
Great to see you. Hey, everybody. It's awesome to be at a VMware event. It must mean I'm making progress because the team let me out, right? But great to be here. What a great way to summarize what we've been up to for the last few years, right? Building a programmable network, right? So that enterprises can take advantage of all these great new use cases. And it is application-led, right?
Absolutely. That's
what we're seeing.
So excited about your network. In fact, it's actually transforming us as an industry.
It is.
To lead into the fourth and fifth industrial revolution.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
Now, I used to be a CIO. I was always looking for these types of opportunities to improve my applications, right? And you always got stuck where you just couldn't move past the connectivity need or move past the programmability to do things in real time, right? We don't actually call it I'm actually a recovering CIO. That's what we call it in the support groups. But look, I'm back in technology. I've gotten to do lots of great things at Dish over the years, but this is a project that we're all in on. We've got a great partnership with VMware to bring our network to life. And look, we've entered to compete in the wireless industry in the US. Like, there isn't really a much bigger format than that to come enter as a challenger. And what we didn't want to do is just build a commodity pipe, right? So we had to solve our own business challenge. We actually didn't really have an edge strategy for ourselves until we realized we actually needed to build one in the form of a new 5G network to accomplish the types of things you're talking about, which are, by the way, are just truly awesome. It's great to see the progress and the thinking here. And people, you can actually put your fingers on it now and understand like what these things are, which I think is really great. So our network actually is a software-defined edge. So we've now got over 16,000 5G sites on air, shiny new ones. I had Sanjay testing our speeds on the Strip last night. Did not disappoint, thankfully. But we're now loading retail customers, and we're getting ready to start loading businesses onto the Dish network. So it's just the most exciting time. Our team's on a roll. And we're working with VMware to put, some days we're putting hundreds of sites on air.
That's right.
Right? So when you think about the automation that's needed, when you think about the programmability, observability, we're not perfect, but we've made a ton of progress in terms of how this all works. And it's an exciting thing to be able to work with a company like VMware that's investing in it, as well as companies like ours that are living an edge journey. I think we might call it an adventure. Right? In retrospect, we weren't even sure what this was all going to become, other than we knew we needed to be different. And I have a funny feeling there's a lot of businesses out there where you feel like you need to be different too when you look at your competition and the types of things you can do to improve customer experience, improve profitability, improve efficiencies. And they're not all like as complicated as what you're seeing on a factory floor. Mm-hmm. That's a little intimidating to some.
That's right.
Right? It can be as easy as, look, we all took all of our APIs and we raced them into the cloud. I was a big part of that. We're always figuring out how to centralize, how to get everything into one place. And now there's reasons to bring it back, right? Simple reasons are things like, well, I want my runtime API to be a little more performant for things like swiping a ticket at a sporting event, or maybe unlocking a Lime scooter or something like that. We can all kind of see those ones. And those services are moving back to the edge. And we're helping a number of companies work through that right now. And then you've got some of the things you've talked about here, right? Whether it's like a manufacturing shop like Audi, that needs to bring like super low latency and high throughput use cases to bear, or other things in the industrial space that those things actually really require 5G network too, because you're dealing with all kinds of programmable connectivity that's a lot more complicated.
Oh, that's great. So John, what are some of the changes that you're seeing?
Well, I'm seeing a few things. First of all, there's been like sort of a lost promise on 5G. Like 5G was going to show up and solve everything. And we know that's not exactly the case. But it's a great tool set to be able to move into an area where new use cases are possible. Right? And when you think about, look, we all just convinced our boards and our management to like pull all of our compute and all of our workloads back into the cloud. Right? It's like, now it's like, oh, wait a second, we want to swing the pendulum back. Let's do that. Let's go figure out how to make that happen. And it's just created a lot of interesting things where trade-offs matter. Right? There's big trade-offs now that happen when you're looking at moving compute to the edge. And we know what it is. It's management overhead. Right? That's the biggest pushback I get. It's how do you manage all these things? How do you make sure that you don't just blow up your ROI based on overhead? And we think the connectivity is a really big part of that, right? And that's where our strategy comes in, which is in combination with moving compute to the edge, focusing on managing it well. I've heard the word fleet a lot in connection with the edge here at this show. It's just a huge area where we've got opportunity as Dish to help, because we can step in and provide the programmable connectivity. It shows up as API exposed, just like many of your own cloud-based applications. But I get excited when I see the video about the police car and changing the connectivity landscape in real time. Those are the types of things we're working on and engaging with companies on now. Like, we like to think about it as we're creating really a new kind of telecom athlete. Some of you may have heard we're merging with EchoStar Hughes. They've been in the connectivity business for a long time. And with their non-terrestrial, our terrestrial, our ability to bring a new type of 5G with compute at the edge to enterprises, we think we're going to be a really good choice to work with, and to have some companies like VMware and Dish at the project table who've got some real-life experience with these things.
Right.
And again, in retrospect, we didn't know we were building an edge strategy. We were just trying to figure out how to compete with three really big incumbents in our industry.
Right.
And it sort of led us to this place where now we're opening up all these possibilities.
Right. And you've built an edge network yourself.
Yes.
So what are some of the lessons learned that you could share with the enterprises as they're thinking about their edge strategy from?
Well, I'm sure some of you practice Agile and do retros. We like to do retros. We like to work through, what are the main things to think about. And most of the companies we talk with, as well as ourselves, first of all, find the business value. Find a business customer who wants to improve their competition, who wants to make some big changes. You don't pay for these types of projects through, I'm going to replace Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is pretty darn good, right? But there are use cases beyond it where you have to do those things. For us, we also had to focus on small teams that can innovate. Right? It's amazing the industrial complex you can find in your own company that has a reason why not to do things. But get out there, give it a try. We've heard a lot about automation. I think semi-automation works to get you out of the gate.
There you go.
And zero-touch provisioning is something that we really believed in. And when you think about all the things that have to happen, for example, to put up a cell site, give it connectivity, bring it up from the bare metal all the way to being on air to take traffic, we came up with a new phrase called low-touch provisioning. Because some touch was required for quite a while. But look, I think we all believe that we're going in the same place, and automation and then observability are super important.
Right.
And look, there's just, in most businesses, there's something out there to go after. We've got, if I could just leave anything with you, it's go out there and see it and be just as curious as you were when you went to the public cloud. You don't even have to do things that are that hard. You can just go to Chick-fil-A, right? Anybody here like Chick-fil-A? I love it. My kids love it. It's pretty consistent, right? Well, look, what's happening at Chick-fil-A is they've now got a distributed edge. They're running Kubernetes in every Chick-fil-A location, powering about 20 applications. right? And this is on consumer processors, by the way. Make sure your food's the same temperature. Make sure your wait time's what you expect. Make sure that your mobile payment goes through quickly. But it's showing up everywhere, right? And if you read some of the things they put out there, it's a lot of the same lessons we learned, to be honest, in terms of how to go about that. So we're just really at the beginning of this. We started building our network off of a blank sheet of paper about 4 years ago. Partnered quickly with companies like VMware, many others, where our network's hosted in the cloud, which is very different from a legacy operator. It's basically an IT network, right? Which means you can use the power of software to enable use cases. And I think you guys did a great job of demonstrating that today. For us at Dish, we're going to be out in the market. We're starting to have conversations about how we can help different industry verticals. We've got a great team here at the show. If you see them, by the way, pat them on the back a little bit. They did help put the water through the pipes on all your new products, right? Yeah, free drinks for the Dish platform engineers this week. But no, all kidding aside, it's going to be a hell of a journey working through these things, and hopefully all of you can find value in investing in the edge. And at Dish, we're here to help you with new types of connectivity.
Thank you, John.
Yep,
Powerful messages. Please do go talk to John and the brilliant team that he has out here. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Now, let's welcome back Sanjay to the stage.
Boy, that was awesome. So, Audi, Edge Cloud for Production, EC4P, using these same principles to get the manufacturing floor to become smart manufacturing. Just one example. I'd like all of you to go check out the manufacturing piece on the floor, the retail store. Now, before I leave, I want to give you one tidbit on how to remember this whole thing. It's very complicated. Software-defined edge, all these acronyms and all this. But I keep it simple. I remembered it by classic rock principles. So there used to be a song by the Rolling Stones called Get Off My Cloud. What is the edge? It's all about getting off the cloud. But Aerosmith had another song. It was called Living on the Edge. So they didn't know this, but they were really talking about the software-defined edge. So folks, listen to the Stones, listen to Aerosmith, and get on that floor. Thank you all.
Welcome back to the VMware Explorer Live broadcast. I'm your host, Jeff Tyler. Thanks for watching Everything Everywhere All at Once, Living on the Edge with VMware. In this session, VMware technology leader Sanjay Uppal and his team explored many ways to be cloud smart about edge computing. The keys to success? Creating a viable edge strategy, orchestrating compute workloads, ensuring programmability and zero touch, and collaborating with a partner like VMware, who can help you scale your edge compute capabilities. Stay tuned for VMware CTO Kit Colbert and VP of VMware AI Labs Chris Wolf, who will present this year's Technology Innovation Showcase. Meanwhile, do you have thoughts you want to share? Follow us at VMware Explore on X, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram.
In FY24, you will hear VMware talk more about the new multi-cloud edge. What is the edge? Where is the edge? The short answer is the edge is everywhere, from the network-based near edge to the on-prem far edge. It's wherever the data is, bringing processing power closer to the source. Whether in a retail store managing live inventory, or on an oil rig managing assets in real time, or in a hospital monitoring patient well-being, the edge is everywhere. Let's diagnose a few of the edges VMware is empowering. For our customers in law enforcement, like the Surrey and Sussex Police in the UK, we're solving real problems. VMware SD-WAN Edge is deployed across their fleets with the ability to stream live video and data from anywhere at any time. These are the most reliable peacekeeping forces on wheels, making everyone safer with 100% uptime while reducing power and equipment space requirements. Honey, I shrunk the stack. VMware Edge Compute Stack is revolutionizing factory automation transforming the shop floor with scalable edge infrastructure with a very small footprint. With our help, Audi is paring down legacy hardware to make their auto factory operation more agile. We help another customer, JDS, to enable computer vision for food production lines to cut down on waste. At the network edge, VMware Telco Cloud portfolio provides a powerful foundation which empowers CSPs to build and deliver new 5G services to enterprise customers at the edge. With VMware's help, Dish Wireless is operating a greenfield 5G network with several thousand sites. The network is America's first and only cloud-native Open RAN network. It provides the speed and agility needed to support the increasing volume of data being created at the edge. It's not just where the edge is, but what the edge needs to become. Smaller, more powerful, and ubiquitous. By enabling growth at the edge, VMware is helping to shape the future of how we live, work, and play. Are you ready to help shape the future?
So we're moving from essentially 12 somewhat homogeneous data centers to now maybe half of that number, but with 3 different clouds: Azure, AWS, and Oracle. Obviously, cloud gives you a lot of agility, right? But there are clearly workloads that you can't move from either security or cost or other considerations.
A lot of people that think about public cloud, they put their environment into public cloud and then they realize, wow, it's very, very, very expensive. Or like, I don't have this high performance anymore by going to something like that. But it looked really, really good on paper.
So a lot of technology has kind of an initial big burst of excitement and everybody wants to do it. And then there's kind of this phase of disillusionment that things aren't going as well as had been expected.
The decision has already been made by a lot of individuals at the table that they like their tool best, therefore their tool is the one we should use.
You realize our costs are spiraling up. Even if you do cost control, I need to control my costs.
Many companies are starting to figure out a better approach. This better approach is called Cloud Smart. Fundamentally, Cloud Smart means it's taking an architected and planned approach to digital transformation and multi-cloud.
Cloud Smart is for me the next evolutionary step in the cloud journey, but also for the cloud industry.
You know, we used to have in our strategy document Cloud First, but it clicked for me when I saw Cloud Smart, because it is not about just blindly going to one cloud.
Understanding, first of all, how big is the problem, and then understanding where am I on the journey, that is absolutely key to control and then get from chaos to smartness.
The security of your application, the accessibility of your application from various parts of the world, how you utilize these apps, to me, is really what the start of being Cloud Smart is.
It's been, I think, a lot more difficult than many had expected. Kind of the smart cloud journey is what we're approaching, and that's really where we want to end up.